Here we go. Hello,
Amazing. Can you hear
everybody.
me?
And coming in clearly. Hey, everybody. It's Heslin Kim, co-founder and CSO of Super Oracles. I'm here today with 0xMaki, core team at LayerZero and co-founder of Aura Finance. So welcome to this fireside chat. We've got a very long title for this one because this guy here has done some amazing things across the space, right? He's from Sushiswap'to to Interoperability startup LayerZero and yield boosting Aura Finance. We've got 0xMaki here in the house today. Hey, Maki, how's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. Thank you so much for this intro. I haven't been speaking in an event in a long time, actually. So it's glad to be here with everyone tonight.
You got all your setup right? You turned on your voice modulator and everything?
No need for a voice modulator here. It's all good.
I'm using, sorry for my voice today. I've got a bit of a voice modulator going on. It's either COVID or just a bad sore throat. So things are a little bit tough on the speaking side. But yeah, Maki, it'd be great to get an introduction about yourself, about what you're working on. So yeah, if you could maybe just give a little intro about, what you previously
Sure.
were doing at Sushiswap and maybe what you're doing now at LayerZero and Aura Finance. I'm sure the audience would love to hear it.
100%. So, I mean, let's start with sushi. I guess started as an humble contributor, ended up as being one of the core team, spokesperson, doing growth, marketing, BD, lots of basically strategy, etc. That was started at the very beginning, 2020. So that's almost 2 years ago in August. Um, I'm still right now an advisor for Sushiswap, but way less involved in the day to day, of course. Like the protocol has grown tremendously, and now that there's an entirely new kind of core team, etc. But yeah, well known as some people could call it like co-founder, I guess, but that was the role at Sushiswap. And right now, kind of more into interoperability with LayerZero and basically everything omni-chain, cross-chain, multi-chain, whatever all you want to call it. It's all about connecting basically dApps around all these networks, making sure they can communicate properly and, act as quote unquote like one smart contract. And for Aura Finance, which is I guess the most recent one, it's a very interesting project where it was fair launch and basically everything regarding boosting for balancer pools to start with, and then potentially expanding onto any other V model based on how the DAO, the community wants to see this playing out. And you could say it's extremely similar to Convex, but on balancer, if we want to resume this very easily.
Got it. Yeah, I'm just wondering, how do you end up juggling between multiple projects if you're spending a little bit of time with LayerZero and Aura Finance? How do you find a commitment level to each?
That's a good question. There's more than one person being behind the 0xMaki. That's what. No, I'm just joking. Basically, it's actually each team has their own set of people that whenever I guess someone one of the team is juggling with an audit, there's actually some things that can be done on the other side. A lot of delegation, lots of folks basically helping left and right. It's really just a matter of also not sleeping, and I don't know never feel I never want to feel bored, I guess. After sushi I had a 3 months kind of, I would say, quote unquote break, and I was dying to get back into action after doing some angel investing and so on. So well, it is what it is. I guess ADHD is a superpower.
I think I might suffer from the same useful dilemma. But yeah, in regards to LayerZero and Aura Finance, what really drew you into working with those specifically? And a follow-on question to that, I'm really interested in your long-term thesis and ethos of where you think Web3 should head, and why you got involved in the space.
For LayerZero, actually, like randomly, like I saw when they were basically like when they raised their seed with Binance Lab. That was like back in, I think, September last year or October. I saw that basically like there was some interoperability stuff going on. I had already invested in Socket and Axelar. I was looking myself for kind of cracking this problem a little bit. Basically, I had a call with Primo, Brian, one of the co-founder, and Ryan, and basically, like over like I think 1 or 2 hour, I instantly grasped what they were kind of onto with like everything related to ultra light node and so on, and how they kind of um, I would say like how they cracked the problem on their end compared to the quote unquote competition at the time, and was fully sold. I saw that they were dedicated and like hardcore kind of founders, and from there like this was kind of this is what drew me in. Just like this relentless kind of work ethic, the fact that they were extremely ambitious, and overall like um, just felt like what we needed back then for sushi. And so that's why I was like, okay, like if this is exactly what we needed to unify liquidity, then everyone in the space needs to have this. And the fact that like anyway, they were working on some non-EVM stuff too, which really draw me in and so on. So that's for LayerZero. For Aura Finance, what was interesting is some very respectable people in the ecosystem reached out actually, and they were like, well, like we have this other person you need to talk with, 0xMaki in this case, very strong technically, anonymous and so on. And I ended up actually like flying to meet them, and from there like I just we kind of I think stayed like 10 days together, like kind of just jamming on basically like how Aura could look like, where this could go, what needed to be done and so on. And basically like we it took way longer than we expected, like almost like I don't know 6 months, because of all the audits and all the bug bounties and so on. Anyways, we were able to launch fair launch, and basically like from there like I think the team of contributors grew to like 10 or something, most of them part-time of course, but that is in both cases what happened. Well, like juggling both at the same time, it's been like incredible. And like ultimately I think I couldn't have been more luckier to meet everyone out there like involved.
That's an interesting angle because I'm wondering about your online personality, but when you meet people in person, how do you decide when to reveal who you are, or how do you know who to trust IRL versus in an online setting?
Oh, I mean, it's a good question. I guess it really depends. It boils down to like for long you've known the person for, right? So I like someone that I've been speaking with for over a year, that I know how the person looks and so on because they're ducks. It's easier to like just kind of go bump into them into I don't know Rave and just like, hey, this is me and so on, and then from there like can share a hug and basically like just talk and jam a little bit or whatever. Like it really depends. I'm saying Ravi, but it could be like any other kind of side event at conferences and so on. But yeah, that's usually like it starts with like a long kind of trust-based relationship for a while. In the case of, for example, Mab, well, he was like someone that was known in the ecosystem and kind of well respected. So was a no-brainer for me.
Got it. I guess following up into the other question I had, really interested in your views on just Web3, DeFi 2.0 in general, where you think things are headed. With your previous background in the space, what kind of trajectory do you see over the next, let's say, 6-9 months plus in the next few years? And where would you want to see it headed?
So that's a good question. I think there's multiple angle here. By the way, like I think with quote unquote like the bear market that kind of um, was happening for the past like few months. There's like a bunch of teams now that are like extremely well kind of capitalized, ready to kind of like surmount this obstacle. Some of them have product market fit, some of them doesn't have it. It is really crucial or important, I think, to really identify what sticks for some of them. I think one that is like extremely important, of course, like everything related to LayerZero, like to cross-chain and omni-chain, is going to become more and more apparent the moment like you interact with these protocol. Just yesterday, actually, like Sushi launched like a Sushiswap, where you would be able to swap from mainnet to, let's say, like Arbitrum without having any funds out there, without having any without ever having touching this ecosystem. And while you proceed to the swap, you are able to then like interact with the network as if you always had gas there, and so on and so on. That is extremely like a game changer in my opinion, because then that's opened up like a lot of doors and possibilities. So that is important. There's a lot of DAO tooling happening, like and then the last one I would say is, I think maybe like everything related to like more derivative and leverage that is happening more and more lately. But that is that is still like a little bit complicated with everything regulation. So yeah.
Right. I mean, in terms of interoperability, where do you see things headed, and what does true interoperability mean to you?
Can you just repeat the question? I didn't. It kind of dropped for a second.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm just wondering, from your point of view, what would true interoperability look like from an ecosystem perspective? Where do you think LayerZero is? What is it really trying to solve beyond just let's say Ethereum to Arbitrum or something along these lines? How do you think this expands the ecosystem long term?
Long term, what I can see or think about is like wherever like apps deploy on, or wherever like it means basically like no fragmentation in liquidity anymore. So say you have like pools of capital being on Optimism, being on, I don't know, a ZK EVM, like on Polygon ZK, on ZK Sync, or else like people are going to be able to tap into this, and there's not going to be any limitation regardless of like where the user is based, what quote unquote gas he has in his wallet. There's no kind of fragmentation of liquidity. There's no kind of risk of bridge and so on and so on, because like the assets are living in the bridge. This is kind of what personally I see, rather than just fragmented like deployment everywhere. So let's say like, for example, Sushi, we had to deploy like over 12 different kind of implementation of the smart contracts left and right. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think that brings up a really good point about the ability to unfragment this liquidity and pull it all together. Now, that obviously creates a situation where there's a honeypot. It becomes a much larger attack vector because the rewards are so much greater. So In what ways does a project like LayerZero solve for those potential exploits that can occur?
So for everything related to exploits, that's a very, like tricky one, right? Because lately, like it's almost like the last one that we heard about, I think was Harmony. I don't know if you can correct me if I'm wrong. I know
No,
there
yeah,
was
Harmony was the
Ronin.
last. I think
There
about
was
100 million. Mm-hmm.
yes, there
And
was
then was
also
Wormhole
Wormhole
with
that
Jump
hacked
and
before.
Poly Network.
Yes, it is extremely tricky. It's extremely dangerous. It's a bridging in general is a hard problem, so there's
Mm-hmm.
no question on this. Uh, One of the issues is definitely like right now, everybody is trying to roll their own. It's like going back to the early like AWS days, when people were trying to self-manage large server sets. Not
Mm-hmm.
sure if you know in the Web2 world, like all the backend stuff and so on, so on.
Right.
Um, DevOps stuff. Running critical infrastructure it's hard, but it's something we're really good at. If people like keep running their own, we're going to see more of the same acts and so on. That's where like LayerZero, like it's so far like it's been a breeze. Like of course, like it's not perfect at the moment, in my opinion. Like the moment layers are easier to run for everyone, for projects even. That's where things are gonna be very spicy, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
um but like the wider bridge right now are getting is so different, like can be smart contract logic, can be OPSEC operational logic. Apparently like some of the keys for Harmony were written down in a note in an office. For Ronin, we learned, right, that it was actually like a phishing attack.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the employee got actually like phish in an email and so on, which is really kind of not even like smart contract based.
Right.
Very difficult to actually like quote unquote predict. Um, Anyways, so and we have things like for itself, for LayerZero, we have on-chain, we have pre-crime that is implemented, which really helps out. Working with like top tier Oracle too is very important. So yeah, overall, like that's kind of where we position ourselves on our end.
Great. Yeah. We are an Oracle as well, and we very much look forward to partnering with LayerZero on that side of the equation. It's a unique model, right? I think that having the relayer and oracles in this consensus in the middle is an incredibly useful and innovative approach. I'm just wondering, as far as potential collusion between the relayer and oracles, how are you guys mitigating something like that? I know you're solving for the cryptographic proofs, but how about along the lines of potential relayers and oracle collusion? What can you guys do to mitigate that, or how are you trying to solve for that? So, like Chainlink, for example, you can spin up your own oracles. How could stop relayers from also going to Link and spinning up their own?
So the end user, like in theory, can always pick like which oracle they can use, right? You can always say, like, for example, like, okay, I want to take um training for the oracle, I want to use relayer from LayerZero, or I want to use a relayer from Coinbase in this case, or I want to use a relayer from MakerDAO and so on.
Mhm.
There's always this kind of flexibility for the end user, and that is like very important, because then you are really kind of isolating the risk per se. You
Mhm.
will only interact with trusted actors. So let's say, like, for example, like I want to use like uh, ban Oracle, I want to use Chainlink Oracle, I want to use Flux, I want to use like XYZ, right?
Mhm.
It's really, I want to use even like you can use like Maker Oracle with potentially like like I don't know, a Sequoia, Polygon, and so on relayer. That could be possible.
Okay, you can
That's
use
how
like a
we
basket
mitigate kind
of.
of the fact
Mhm.
you isolate basically like both, right? There's absolutely no risk like for Chainlink to collude, because like, well, at this point, like if it's the case, um we have like even bigger problem. Like DeFi as a whole, like is going to be in shambles if like Chainlink is behaving like badly per se.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't think it would be Chainlink, for instance. It would be potentially a third party spinning up one of their nodes as a data provider. So just an insight there. Yeah, I mean, diving into a bit more about your history and about being Anon. What do you think the pros and cons and some of the key challenges are? Across being anonymous in crypto and interacting with people and potentially institutions. How do you gauge that from your side?
Yeah, for everything related to anons, actually, like the hardest I would say is actually like putting yourself out there and like gaining kind of this momentum or respect or trust or it's actually like you need to put up like some reputation at stake. You need to actually like not necessarily be out there like in person, but like partaking in some of these events like podcasts and so on, like is very important in my opinion, and making sure like the test of time is always like something non-negligible. Related to institution, actually, like it doesn't slow down or like is actually like a problem. You can talk with neobank, with traded public stock companies and so on, without any problem being a non, actually. Like it's fascinating to see that there's absolutely no barrier on this front. And ultimately, like I think it's just like a new um, I would say like paradigm on this sense, like where people are not necessarily limited to their RL kind of identity. For raising capital, actually, like it's almost better sometimes, but it really depends like who you're dealing with and so on. Personally, like I am not, like raising capital, I guess, like very often or as a for most of the project, etc. But I can tell you that I've founded teams that are fully non without any problems. Usually, like the common denominator is all about like time in the space, code, and basically like knowing who you're doing with. But that's about it.
Got it. So, with regards to, let's say, future of DeFi 2.0, anonymity, and the growth of things as we move forward, do you think that DID's sovereign identity will help move things forward from a regulated DeFi perspective? What's your opinion on totally permissionless DeFi moving forward versus regulated DeFi?
I think personally, like I think it's way more important to have like a fully decentralized DeFi and so on. That's like what is powerful, what is interesting about it. If we were to move into like something that is more regulated, I think definitely it would be for like a specific set of actors that like specific countries that maybe want to enforce this, which would be like a shame, to be honest. They would probably get like special front ends and so on dedicated to them, and like if that's what it takes to keep on chugging, so be it. But I think personally, like it would just be creating like two class of people, I guess, in DeFi, in this war, in this kind of system. So it would be extremely annoying. I think some people out there might even think like, oh well, this is too much of a hassle to deal. Like, you know what? Like, let's just not even bother about it and put like the I don't know, geo block in place where like things do not deal with it. In my opinion, that's maybe how, because it takes a lot of resources ultimately to like do regulated quote unquote DeFi the way some actors or entities like want to see it. Personally, like you can regulate at other levels, at other point in the in the stack, I would say. But yeah, ultimately, like I wouldn't touch with anything related to DeFi or everything happening on chain. It doesn't make sense to me. Like it's honestly not even enforceable if you think about it. Like anyone can run a front end, third party, and so on, and just or like interact with EPFS, etc. So it's a cat and mouse game that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, got it. I know a lot of institutions are trying to explore that space, so I guess we'll see over the next few years where that leads. Just wrapping up, I think it'd be great to get your advice to any budding developers or cypherpunks out there who are interested in going fully anon, and what kind of tips and advice would you give people who would like to proceed with that kind of lifestyle? What starting points would you say, or basis and foundation would it take to start building an anonymous reputation across the markets?
I think it's a matter of starting to wipe, I guess, like everything that you have, like social media wise, like on your real identity, like starting it out, and basically from there, like just interacting with people, interacting with the community, like just showcasing like your point of view. People notice when there's like smart anons in the room, when there's like people that know what they're talking about and so on, and from there, like things can pick up very quickly. Of course, some people out there cannot like talk, or else they're gonna get identified and so on. So then it become like more about like kind of I think some other people vouch for you basically. So whenever like there's some other people that are like ready to say like, oh yeah, this person is legit XYZ, like from there like you can like really like take the opinion of someone anonymous like differently than just like, oh, this might be like a North Korean agent or something. So that's fairly important. We don't want to see kind of these issues or problems happening. I think there was like one project that was interviewing a candidate and ended up being like something funny business over there. So yeah, that would be like my first advice. I would say like prepare to go down like a very arduous kind of privacy oriented path. And sometimes like you forget a little bit about your own self, but it's okay.
Got it. Well, great insights from 0xMaki here today. Hopefully, we meet at some point in the future and in IRL, and you introduce yourself, expose. I'll be around. I'm sure you will also. And yeah, thanks so much for your time today. Really interesting insights into DeFi 2.0, interoperability, and the great things you're doing over at LayerZero, Aura Finance, and what you've already done at Sushiswap. So thanks again, and thanks everyone who also tuned in. Follow up for the up and coming panels. We've got some great stuff underway, and appreciate everyone's for your time. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, Sir Kim. It was a pleasure.
Cheers.